Local 4 News starts now with a breaking news alert.
Breaking news tonight happening in Cincinnati, where tonight's Monday Night Football game has been postponed after Buffalo Bills safety Demar Hamlin collapsed on the field.
Yeah, really scary to watch here. Yep. We've just learned some new information. Hobie Artigue joins us with more. Hobie.
A scary situation, to say the least. And we've seen scary moments in the NFL before, but tonight, one of the worst scenes we've seen on a professional football field in recent memory. Now, we're choosing to not show the video, but it did happen in the first quarter of Monday Night Football between the Bengals and the Bills, a game that, as Devin said, has now been postponed mid-game. Buffalo safety Demar Hamlin took a hard hit to the chest area while making a tackle. He initially stood up, but then collapsed. Medics ran onto the field and appeared to perform CPR on the 24-year-old for several minutes. He was put in an ambulance and taken off of the field to a level 1 trauma center in Cincinnati, where he is now in critical condition, that according to the NFL. Now, many players emotional, of course, some crying. Both teams, though, making the decision to go to the locker room and ultimately postponing tonight's Monday Night Football game. The Lions put out a statement saying, "Our thoughts and prayers are with Demar Hamlin, his loved ones, and the entire Bills organization." Now, his marketing rep did say on Twitter just a few minutes ago that Demar's vitals are back to normal, and they have put him to sleep to put him on a breathing tube, and they are now running more tests. This is, of course, a developing situation in Cincinnati. We'll have more updates coming up a little bit later in sports. Yeah. Kimberly?
We appreciate that update, Hobie. And, of course, we'll be following this throughout the night at clickondetroit.com and the morning news starting at 4:30 a.m.
All right, let's turn to what's going on outside. Dry outside right now, but some showers are on the way.
Yeah, and Kim Adams also tracking some fog that may impact the morning commute, Kim.
Yeah, that fog is affecting the commute right now. So if you work an overnight shift or if you travel during the overnight hours, we have had a few areas of patchy, dense fog. In fact, just last hour, you couldn't see the skyline. Now that fog has moved just a little bit, but so it's patchy, but where it is, it can become quite dense with reduced visibilities down to a quarter of a mile or less in some spots. Howell's got some fog at this hour, 35, 40 in Detroit, 36 in Pontiac, 40 in Adrian. Let's talk about the visibility first. Down to less than a half a mile in many locations, and that's going to continue through the early morning hours tomorrow. Now, we'll get some rain in here after around 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Some of that rain will actually mix out some of the fog, so we'll see visibilities improving as we go throughout the morning hours, but replaced by some very heavy rainfall. In fact, we're watching the rain move up, just about to move into Indianapolis at this hour. It will be here in Metro Detroit just in time for the morning commute, and it will be heavy. In fact, between 5 a.m. and about 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, we could see just under an inch of rain in many locations. I'll have a complete look at your forecast, including 30s returning for highs later in the week. We'll talk about that in a few minutes.
All right, Kim, now to a water main breakdown river that is causing all kinds of problems.
It's been days, and there's still water in this Lincoln Park neighborhood. Pamela Osborne is there live for us tonight. Pamela, how's the city responding?
Well, I can show you how they're responding. Once we brought this problem to their attention, they immediately sent crews out to take a look. They've been digging up the concrete there on Porter Avenue. Now it looks like they're wrapping up to the relief of residents who just really wanted to see this problem fixed.
It's a mess. It really is.
When we arrived to O'Connor and Porter Avenue, water was bubbling up and pooling in front of Talisha Underwood's home.
It's really taking a toll on everybody that drives through and our families that's around here.
Navigating the water outside isn't even her biggest problem.
We came at a bad time. It's a holiday time. So I literally had to take from my kids to deal with this situation.
Underwood says water ended up in her basement too. To make matters worse, the water pressure where water should be is low.
So I had to get a plumber to come out here, and he got it together, but this is always happening and it's always coming out of our pocket, and then the water bill is high this month, and you're like, well, what are we supposed to do?
A nearby broken water main is to blame for the trouble. Underwood says she'd been calling, trying to get help to fix it for days with no luck. I took her concerns to Lincoln Park's Department of Public Services. They had a crew out within the hour, and after assessing the problem, they were there working into the night to make the necessary repairs. And so you heard Kim's forecast there. We are in for a lot of rain, and that woman that we spoke to said she does from time to time get rain in her basement or water in her basement when it rains, but certainly she wasn't expecting water from something like this. Residents looking forward to that forecast, looking forward to those temperatures dropping by the end of the week. Again, happy that this is getting taken care of now before it turns into an icy mess. Reporting live tonight in Lincoln Park, I'm Pamela Osborne, Local 4.
Really nice to see some action on that story tonight. Pamela, nice job.
Well, as the couple's break, these young parents were thrilled to be taking until a life-altering brain hemorrhage sent one of them to the hospital. And now friends and former co-workers are rallying to try to help them. Mara McDonald live downtown tonight. They went to the Bahamas at the beginning of December, Mara. They're still not home.
No, Devin. As a matter of fact, Emily DeArmond has been in an ICU for 21 days in Miami with that brain hemorrhage. And as you mentioned, her former coworkers at the Chippewa Valley School District, where she was the food and nutrition director, are rallying to try and help her and her husband. After having two babies, 2.5-year-old Lucy and 9-month-old Mila during the pandemic, Curry and Emily DeArmond were excited to get away for a quick break.
Me and my wife were taking our first vacation kind of as a couple.
Down to the Bahamas at the beginning of December. Everything was great until their second to last day. Emily woke up with a blinding headache.
She went onto the balcony and as soon as she sat down, her vision started getting blurry.
Curry called an ambulance. The neurosurgeon in the Bahamas did a CT scan.
He showed me like an imaging of her brain, and it showed like 4 little white spots, and those white spots were blood.
Emily was in the midst of a brain hemorrhage brought on by arteriovenous malformation, or AVM.
So it's just something you're actually born with. You develop it in the womb.
What followed was emergency surgery in the Bahamas and a medevac to Miami. She's been in the ICU for the last 21 days as docs there removed the AVM. She just moved to a rehab facility to work on walking. The goal now, heal, get home, and somehow tackle the bills.
We both want to get home. We have 2 little girls back home, but they're in great hands with Emily's mom. So yeah, we're not really thinking about that right now.
Back here live, the good news is that Emily is young and she is strong and she's working really hard in rehab. The best case scenario at this point is that maybe she gets to come home in 3 weeks, but there's a big question about whether she can even get on a plane or whether she'd have to have some sort of medical transport back to Michigan. Now, those friends at the Chippewa Valley School District have started a GoFundMe for the young couple. If you're interested, we've got it up on clickondetroit.com. We're live downtown tonight. I'm Mara McDonald, Local 4.
Such an ordeal and a long way to go. All right, Mara.
Police believe a family argument is likely to blame for a deadly double shooting. This happened around 3:30 on Bewick near Charlevoix and St. Jean. That's on the city's east side. Police say 2 brothers, ages 17 and 26, were arguing when their 29-year-old cousin shot them. One brother died at the scene, the other at the hospital. Police say the suspect left the scene, but officers later found him dead inside a car near Chandler Park. They say he shot himself.
Very tragic. 2023 for this family to be experiencing this, it's horrible. So whatever brought them to make that decision, conflict resolution using firearms is unacceptable. It's not this violence, this loss of life. This has to stop.
Police say nobody was hurt from a shot into another home on Bewick.
One man is in custody tonight after a police chase turns into a shootout on Detroit's east side.
Started in Warren, ended along a busy stretch of 8 Mile between Ryan and Mound. Police say they were on a chase of a man who eventually crashed, got out, and took off on foot. He fired shots at an officer chasing him, which then turned into a shootout. In the end, no officers were harmed. In southwest Detroit, 2 people in custody after shots were fired at an undercover Dearborn police officer. Happened this morning on Martin Luther King Jr. near I-96. Police say as the officer was working a stolen car investigation, a man fired a rifle several times into his car. We're told at least 1 shot hit the windshield. The officer is okay and did not shoot back.
A Michigan State senior home for the holidays was hit and killed while walking down a street in Oakland County. Happened right across the street from the Rochester cider mill. 22-year-old Ben Cable from Shelby Township was killed by a hit-and-run driver. He was just walking down Rochester Road. Witnesses tell investigators the driver was a female driving a BMW 300. Tonight, she is still on the run. If you know anything that might help in the investigation, call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-SPEAK-UP. Community activists want more done to keep customers safe after a Detroit mother is murdered outside a liquor store.
51-year-old Tracy Golden was shot and killed outside her neighborhood store in the area of Grand River and West Outer Drive. The search continues tonight for the suspect who got away in her 2018 Dodge Journey. Groups such as New Era Detroit and the People's Action are calling for store owners to provide better security.
Definitely hits home, but we definitely need to be vigilant, and we need more community efforts in order to protect our women and children.
We try to be proactive. We're trying to catch it in the midst of the act.
New Era members say they'll be out helping women get to their cars in parking lots, and members from the People's Action are planning more neighborhood patrols.